As the news has broken that Australia is opening up again and even international travel might be on the cards soon, the talk has turned to travel.
Mom!
Oh crap, that's right, I've got kids. But even with kids, the talk has turned to frequent flyer points. But I've always thought, aren't frequent flyer points for like globe-trotting individuals who travel solo or with their partner and just love getting entree to those business and first class lounges? Let alone those of us who are doomed to have to travel during school holidays. That's what I'm looking at this week. Welcome to The List. I'm Kate Brown, and on my to-do list this week is figuring out whether you can work a frequent flyers program to your advantage even if you have kids. So here's my situation. I have a partner and 2 school-aged kids. While we love to travel, we've never really used frequent flyers. But here's the thing. As a family of 4, we also spend a ridiculous amount on groceries, shopping, and all the stuff required to keep a family of 4, a dog and 2 cats alive. So I'm wondering if we might be able to work our credit cards to our advantage and get some of those sweet, sweet frequent flyer points. While my partner and I tend to use our credit cards a lot, we do always pay them off in full each month. And that's partly because we have an offset account and also because we're a bit nerdy like that. Currently, the credit card I has a low annual rate and it does have a rewards program, but not a frequent flyer program. And while rewards are quite nice, I do feel like, once a year I've got just enough money to buy a toaster. And I'm wondering if I could do better with a frequent flyer program instead. But then again, maybe not, because there is 4 of us. I don't really know, so I've decided to talk to Finder's very own frequent flyer guru and my fellow editor-at-large, Angus Kidman. Hi, Gus.
Hi.
You know a bit about my background, but I will share it for everyone watching the video. So I've got a family with 2 kids. There's 2 adults. I've always kind of steered away from frequent flyers because I've always thought, look, I don't know if we could get enough value. We don't travel enough. But I'm hearing otherwise. I'm hearing that maybe I could actually get some value out of frequent flyers, even with a family of 4. What would you say to that?
I think you're absolutely right. Like, the traditional vision of a frequent flyer is someone who's getting on a plane 20 times a year and they're always getting upgraded and they're always hanging out in lounges. And you know what? That's actually very hard to achieve unless you are one of those people. But there's a lot of value to be had from frequent flyer points when you're not that person. The way to look at it is it's a great way to get free flights for your family holidays. You can easily earn enough points to pay for the flights component. And yeah, that's a great saving. Like, when you're dealing with 4 people and you start, even if you want to just fly Sydney to Melbourne, you could easily pay, for a return trip well over $1,000, $1,600 to get those fares. So if you can get those free out of frequent flyer points, I think that's a great benefit. So for the average family, I think that's the way to look at it. Earn some points, see it as part of how you're going to pay for a holiday, use it for flights, and you really can come out ahead.
So how would I do that if I'm not flying all the time? But I tell you, I spend a lot of money on my credit card each month, buying groceries, and probably spend about $4,000 to $5,000 a month on my credit card. Is there a way of using that? There's a way of earning points by shopping, isn't there?
Absolutely. So the key to this is you want to get yourself a credit card that earns frequent flyer reward points. So that for every dollar you spend, you're getting points in those streams. And over the course of the year, that's really going to add up. So that in itself is going to get you a big batch of points. Then there are 2 ways you can supercharge that. The first is when you sign up for the card, find one with a big bonus points offer. These typically offer like 100,000 points or more that you get in one big shot. The only usual requirement is that you have to spend a minimum amount on the card within the first 3 months. Now, in the scenario you're describing, that's fine because those are typically around the $3,000, $4,000 over 3 months. If you weren't spending quite that much on your card, the way to do that is to plan to get a card when you've got a big expense coming up. That might be you're doing household renovations. Maybe it's that you're booking a family holiday and you're saying we've got to pay for the accommodation, all the other things. Make that booking at that time and you'll hit those marks. So that's instantly going to get you a massive wad of points. And then the other way to supercharge it is tie it in with your supermarket shopping. So with Woolworths Everyday Rewards, you can convert those into Qantas points. With Coles Flybuys, you can convert those into Virgin Velocity points. So either pick your airline or pick your supermarket, line those things up, and then your shopping's really giving you extra points. You're getting points for using the card and for using the Flybuys. If you follow that through, you're going to end up with a really healthy total of points that you can then spend on flights and get masses of value, and you're doing things you'd do anyway.
Gus, would you recommend any frequent flyer program over the other, or have both? What would you say?
So what I'd say is join both. They're both free. So I think in Australia, you may as well be in Qantas, you may as well be in Velocity. What you pick after that would come down to a couple of things. It might come down to your supermarket preference. Like if you're a dyed-in-the-wool Coles fan, then you're going to get far more points in Velocity, so maybe that's the one to focus on. But in a lot of cases, families also end up shopping in both supermarkets, depending what they need, so there's probably opportunities there. I will say right now, Qantas looks better for the range of flights it just flies to more places than Virgin does. So at the moment, I have a slight bias towards Qantas, but I think it's worth being in both. What I do think, though, is pick one and concentrate on it. So when you've picked the credit card and it's earning or something, try and get those totals together. Don't try and be building up the totals in Qantas and Velocity, because I think it'll take longer to get there and you'll feel kind of confused. So make a choice. They're both good airlines. Set yourself that nice little annual goal. Say, right, this is my credit card for the year. I'm earning Qantas points on it. This is what I'm going to line up. If you do it that way, you'll be surprised how many of them are sitting in there by the end of the year.
What are some of the downsides with the credit cards, for example? Is there anything I need to look out for there?
So the obvious big downside is make sure you're paying it off every month. Do not be putting money onto your credit card and then just leaving it there, because you'll get charged interest, and very quickly the interest you're paying will offset the value of those points. So that's the absolute number one, is just use your credit card, but then pay it off in full each month so that you're staying in control. The second thing to look at when you're picking one of these cards is look at the earn rate, which is how many points you get per dollar you spend. On a good card, that's going to be 1 for 1 or maybe even 2 for 1. On a less good card, it's going to be maybe only half a point for each dollar. So you have to spend $2 to get 1 Qantas Rewards point, for instance. So take a look at that. The third thing to balance that against is the annual fee for the card, because some of the card fees here can be quite high. They can be $400 or more. Now, if you're going to end up getting yourself family flights for 4 that take you to Perth, you'll still get the value from it, but I think it's worth doing the calculation, so be aware of that. The flip side is if you're spending a lot on the card each month, you want that higher earn rate. It's worth paying that $400 annual fee to get that higher earn rate, because you'll get far more points out of it. So I'm not going to lie, there's a little bit of sitting down and doing some calculating. I know people don't always feel thrilled about that, but I think that's what you need to get into, is just strike that balance between I want a lot of bonus points, I want a reasonable annual fee, and I want to know that, that the spend level I'm at is something that I can comfortably pay off each month so that I'm not falling behind.
What about frequent flyer points expiring? How does that work?
So there is an expiry period on frequent flyer points, and you have to be aware of it. The key is, though, that as long as you've got activity, you're either earning or using points, they don't expire. So if you're using a frequent flyer credit card, this is not going to happen to you, because every month you're going to have expenses that go onto it and they're not going to run out. But you do need to be aware of that. You need to know what the expiry periods are. And then frequent flyer points are like cash, so you need to check into that regularly. Just as you don't want to leave money sitting in a bank account and just not think about it. Frequent flyer points are the same. But between the supermarket rewards and the credit card, you won't have that problem. You'll constantly be earning stuff. As long as you're earning stuff in the Australian schemes, they don't expire.
So there you have it. After looking at my spend, I'm actually feeling pretty hopeful that we can pull this off. I've just pulled all the regular expenses we have as a family. My partner and I tend to pay for things taking turns. We've got our own bank accounts. But I think what we might do is take out a frequent flyer credit card and funnel all those family expenses onto that one card. So that'll be things like groceries, sport fees, drama fees, after school costs, pet food, probably a few too many visits to Dan Murphy's as well, and try and put them all on the one card. Now, I reckon between the two of us covering a family of 4 plus the pets, we're probably spending $4,000 to $5,000 a month easily. On top of that, we tend to shop at Woolies because that's the nearest grocery store, though we do have Coles up the road as well. So we will set up Velocity points as well, seeing as Gus said that's free. But I think our focus will be on Woolworths. You can also use your everyday rewards at Dan Murphy's, so we'll be using that there too. And while changing credit cards can be a little bit annoying, and I may have to update a few direct debits and things like that, even so, having to do those changes, this card that I'm applying for at the moment has got those 130,000 points straight off the bat, as long as I make the minimum spend, which is $3,000, which I swear we could just spend on groceries or at Dan Murphy's at this rate. So I'm going to do that. I think changing will probably take about an hour, but I'll go through that and see how we go. And I think we can start collecting those frequent flyer points. How we go booking flights in the school holidays is another challenge, but Gus has challenged me to be a bit more organised. So I'm looking at doing something next year because at the moment travel's still a little bit limited. Overseas travel would be the dream, but in the meantime, I might look at going somewhere interstate. So I'm thinking that perhaps as a family, we could head up to the Northern Territory or even WA for a couple of weeks. So the biggest tips from Gus, just to wrap up, are look for a credit card that is linked to a frequent flyer point. Look for that $1 to 1 point. That's where you're going to get your most bang for your buck. Look for cards that do have a really generous opening rate with the frequent flyer points. Currently, the one I'm looking at is 130,000 points, so that'll really give me a boost. Make sure that you can pay your credit card off in time during the interest-free period. And of course, look at the annual fee. If that annual fee is really high and you're not using your credit card a lot, it's probably not going to be worth it. But in my situation for a family of 4, it's going to be more than worth it considering how much money we're funneling through that card. Finally, booking in school holidays or adjacent to school holidays, be prepared. Make sure you book a long way in advance so you know that you can get those flights. As Gus said, and I can attest, flying with kids isn't always a luxury experience if you get what I'm saying. So you may as well fly economy, and there's generally more frequent flyer points and seats available in economy than those sweet business and first class spots anyway. Finally, make sure that you hook up to one of the grocery store programs. This is stuff you're paying for anyway, and every little bit helps. And if that can go towards your frequent flyer program's balance, all the better. So that's it for me this week. I am going to be dreaming of a beautiful family holiday. Or if my kids are really annoying, I might just take that business class flight to London. See you, kids. If you want more information on frequent flyer points and programs, I've got links in the description below. If you want to see the latest deals on credit cards, and let me tell you, they're bringing out deals all the time, I will have links to those below too. If you've managed to work the frequent flyer system with a family, I'd love to know what you've done or where you've gone or what your tips are. I'm pretty new to this, so share those in the comments below. I'd love to see what you've done. And finally, if you liked this video, give me a like, and why not hit the subscribe button and that bell for the next video. That's it for me this week. I'll see you next time for more money tips and tricks.